Remember the absolute chaos of 2022? When Erik Ten Hag actually dropped Cristiano Ronaldo to the bench, people genuinely thought he had lost his mind. And then, just a few months later, Fernando Santos pulled the exact same trigger in Qatar. The greatest goal scorer in the history of the sport, benched, on the biggest stage. The internet basically caught fire. Pundits were screaming on TV. Piers Morgan went on that massive, month-long media crusade. And honestly, millions of us, including me at times, treated Ten Hag and Santos like football's ultimate villains. We thought it was just a massive ego trip, right? Just two managers trying to flex their power by humiliating an absolute legend. But then, fast forward to the 2026 World Cup, Portugal's opener against DR Congo. If you watch those 90 minutes, everything suddenly clicked. What unfolded on that pitch didn't just prove the doubters wrong. It completely changed how we have to look at those decisions from 4 years ago. It wasn't disrespect. It wasn't an ego trip. It was a brutal tactical reality that we were all just too blind or too emotional to see. And why Erik Ten Hag was right about Ronaldo and why everyone ignored it.
They are the ones that can carry Cristiano Ronaldo, not vice versa.
I think that will stop Portugal winning the tournament.
He holds them back.
Alright, so let's talk about what just happened. Because the DR Congo match wasn't just a bad day at the office. It was a tactical blueprint of exactly what Ten Hag warned us about. If you just look at the squad list, Portugal should be illegal. You've got Bruno Fernandes, Vitinha, Bernardo Silva, Rafael Leão, João Neves. This is a midfield and attack that should be suffocating teams with high tempo, fluid, devastating football. And for the first 6 minutes, it looked like it would. Neves scores early, and you think, okay, here we go. But then, the game changes. DR Congo adjusts. They compress the space, they sit deep, and they dare Portugal to break them down. Look at the control Portugal supposedly had. They completely dominated the ball with 68% possession. On paper, it looks like total dominance, but in reality, it was completely hollow. While Portugal passed the ball sideways into oblivion, they lacked any real penetration. In fact, despite all that possession, Portugal only created one solitary big chance the entire match. DR Congo, with just 32% of the ball, created 3 big chances and looked far more lethal on the break. And why was that? Because the entire team's engine room was completely out of sync. Look at Bruno Fernandes. He looked completely unrecognizable, unable to play his natural game. Bruno is a risk taker. He thrives on playing quick, low flattening through balls into space for dynamic runners. But with Ronaldo standing static up front, there was no space to exploit. Bruno was forced to slow down his play, recycle possession safely, or launch hopeful crosses into a crowded penalty box. He was totally choked out of his own creative identity, and the man leading the line just couldn't ignite anything.
I think he should step down and understand that he has to be a player that comes off the bench as an impact player.
There's only one position on the pitch at 41 years of age you should be starting a game, and that's goalkeeper for me.
He negatively impacts on the rest of the players in terms of what they have to give, because they feel they've got to pass, we've got to do.
Cristiano Ronaldo played the entire 90 minutes. He finished the game with 0 shots on target, 0 chances created, and 25 touches. Just let that sink in for a second. 25 touches in an entire World Cup match where your team possesses the ball for nearly 70% of the game. That isn't just a quiet night, it's his lowest involvement ever in a major tournament match. And guys, the service isn't the problem anymore. The problem is the sheer undeniable drop in production that we are all pretending not to see. Get this, Ronaldo has now failed to score in 5 straight World Cup matches. He has gone 10 consecutive games in major international competitions without finding the back of the net.
As a centre forward, if you're going to stand still, who's going to run in behind? He can't just be a goal scorer, and he has to build the team around him, and that's a major problem.
And if you want a truly mind-blowing stat to show how long this has been building, Cristiano Ronaldo has not scored a single non-penalty goal in a major international tournament since June 2021. June 2021. That is 5 years of tournament football. where, outside of a penalty kick, the net hasn't rippled for him. And when a legendary figure like Thierry Henry comes out hours after the match and bluntly says, "The team needs to score, not you," you know the problem has become impossible to ignore.
The team needs to score, not you needs to score. You would have had to follow him, and then it would have been a tap-in for Bruno Fernandes. But because he wants to score, he goes into the path of the back pass.
Every time Vitinha or Bernardo got the ball, they weren't looking for the best tactical option. They were subconsciously looking for him. The entire team's natural rhythm gets completely suffocated because they are playing to accommodate one man's legacy rather than winning a football match. Now, let's rewind the tape because everything we are seeing right now in 2026 is a literal carbon copy of what happened at Manchester United in 2022. But before we even get to Ten Hag, we have to talk about the man who also tried to warn us. The man who actually had the keys to Portugal before. Remember the 2022 World Cup in Qatar? Santos was the ultimate Ronaldo loyalist. He won Euro 2016 with him. But during that tournament, Santos saw the exact same warning signs. He noticed the slowing transitions, the lack of off-the-ball movement, and how the team looked entirely handcuffed. So Santos did the unthinkable. He benched Ronaldo for the knockout stages. And remember what happened? Portugal instantly looked fluid, unpredictable, and absolutely obliterated Switzerland 6-1.
Coach Fernando Santos, well, he was rewarded for his bold decision to drop Ronaldo with an impressive 6-1 win over Switzerland. Ronaldo will once again have to make do with a place on the bench as 21-year-old hat-trick hero Gonzalo Ramos keeps his place.
But what did we do? The media and the fans crucified Santos. He was sacked shortly after, and everyone acted like he had committed football treason. Enter Erik Ten Hag just a few months later at Manchester United. Ten Hag wanted to build a modern, high-intensity pressing side. He needed a forward line that would hunt the ball, trigger transitions, and keep the opposition defense constantly shifting. But he quickly realized what Santos already knew. If you put Ronaldo in that starting 11, the entire system breaks down structurally. Think about the tactical cost of carrying a 41-year-old striker who cannot press or track back against DR Congo because Ronaldo doesn't engage in the first line of defense. Portugal's midfield, Vitinha, João Neves, and Bruno had to constantly step up insanely high just to try and trigger a press. And because they had to push up so far to cover for Ronaldo, it left a massive gaping canyon of space right in the middle of the pitch. Every single time DR Congo won the ball back, they bypassed Portugal's front line effortlessly and drove directly into that wide open midfield space. It left Portugal's backline completely exposed and forced to scramble on counterattacks. The midfield had to run twice as hard to cover the defensive gaps left up front. Sound familiar? That's exactly what Vitinha and João Neves are dealing with right now for Portugal. Ten Hag basically told the world, "I don't care about the name on the back of the shirt. If you don't run off the ball, if you don't fit the collective press, you don't play." It took an immense amount of managerial courage to do that. He had Old Trafford legends ripping him apart on TV every week. But he knew that a football team is an ecosystem. You cannot carry a passenger out of possession in modern football. Santos warned us, Ten Hag warned us, and we just kept ignoring them. And this brings us to the biggest contrast of all, Roberto Martínez. Because if Fernando Santos and Ten Hag represent tactical coldness and managerial bravery, Martinez represents the exact opposite right now. He is completely trapped by Ronaldo's aura. Against DR Congo, it was painfully obvious by the 60th minute that the current setup wasn't working. Portugal needed pace. They needed dynamic movement. They needed someone like Gonçalo Ramos or Rafael Leão to inject some chaos into that static front line. But Martinez just stood there on the touchline, seemingly terrified to make the call. When he finally brought Gonçalo Ramos on in the 83rd minute, do you know who he took off? He took off Vitinha, a midfielder. Think about how chaotic that is. Your midfield is already struggling because of the massive spaces left open in the center, and your solution to chase a goal is to take away a midfielder, leave an exhausted, ineffective Ronaldo on the pitch, and completely compromise your structural balance? In his post-match press conference, Martinez actually argued that taking Ronaldo off made no sense.
Makes no sense to get the best goal scorer in world football out in a game that you need goals. I think what we needed is to add.
But the data tells a completely different story. DR Congo didn't just luck into a draw. Statistically, they completely outplayed Portugal in execution. They had a higher expected goals rating, 0.82 to 0.64, because the chances they generated through that open midfield were high quality, clear-cut situations. And let's be honest, we've seen this exact movie from Roberto Martínez before. This is what he does. He did it with Belgium's golden generation. He rode that aging wave of Eden Hazard, Axel Witsel, and Toby Alderweireld until the wheels completely fell off at the 2022 World Cup, refusing to bench his aging stars for younger, hungrier talent. Now, he's doing the exact same thing with Portugal, while speculation swirls that he's leaving his post this July anyway. Look, none of this takes away from what Cristiano Ronaldo has achieved. He is an absolute legend of the game. The records he has set will probably never be broken in our lifetime, and the fact that he is even playing in a 6th World Cup at 41 years old is mind-blowing. But football is a brutal, unforgiving sport. It doesn't care about legacy, and it definitely doesn't care about nostalgia. When your massive presence actively stops players like Bruno Fernandes from playing their game, when your lack of tracking back leaves a gaping hole in the middle of the park, and when you haven't scored a non-penalty goal in a tournament in half a decade, you stop being an asset and you become a structural problem. Next up for Portugal is a must-win game against Uzbekistan. If they drop points there, they are staring down the barrel of a catastrophic group stage exit. So, I want to hear from you guys down in the comments. Is it time for Roberto Martínez to channel his inner Ten Hag, look at the stats, and finally drop Ronaldo to the bench? Or does he stick with him and hope for a miracle? If you enjoyed the video, do me a massive favor. Hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and turn on notifications. We're going to be covering every single tactical breakdown this World Cup, and you don't want to miss it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.